So you want to start with taking the clay out of the Ziploc bag, and you just want to soften it with your hands. So you just want to kind of break it apart and roll it around in your hands until it's soft enough that you can maybe build something out of it. You're going to take a small piece of the clay, and you're just going to create kind of a small pancake with the clay. So you want that to be the size of about 2 inches wide for that bottom part of the coil cup. So as you see in the video, there is a small cup in the video, and that's a good size cup. You're going to basically be tracing the bottom of that cup on top of that pancake size piece of clay that you have just made. You want to take the piece of clay and that you've created and just go around the sides with your fingers and kind of push the sides down so they're nice and flat, because the coils that you're going to create are going to go, they're going to begin on the sides of that pancake shape piece of clay that you've just created. You do not need any tool for this. You can just use your fingers and then kind of work your fingers around that circle until you have it to the shape that you are intending it to be. So just like you're making cookies, you want to simply trace the bottom of that cup onto that piece of clay that you have. And simply that's just to have you make a perfect circle. If you have a tool to kind of flatten out the clay, then you want to use that and just try to make a nice smooth surface on that bottom part that you've created a circle with. If you don't have that tool at home, then just kind of flatten it with either, you can find a rolling pin in your kitchen, or just the palm of your hand works well too. Next, you're going to create your coils. So you may create 6 or 7 of these if you're making a small cup. You may choose to have 10 or 12 coils if you are creating a bowl. So how thick do you make the coils? You make them as thick as your finger. And you kind of roll it out with your both hands until it starts to get longer, and you're simply going to wrap that coil around the bottom of the circle on the circular part that you have cut out. So next, if you have a fork at home, that works really well. You simply want to, it's called scoring the clay. So you just want to make little marks just around the surface of that circle that you created, the first step. And then you're also going to do it on one of the sides of the coils as well. So think of this as just you're simply creating an adhesive for the clay. So when it dries, it's less likely to break apart and crack and completely get destroyed. So you're just going to make small little marks with the fork. If you have a fork at home, that's perfectly fine. You don't need clay tools to do this. You're then going to dip your finger in the water, and you're going to do a glaze on top of the marks that you've made. Just a little glaze. You don't need a lot of water. And you're just going to take 2 fingers, dip them in the water, and then just run your fingers over the marks that you've created in the clay. So after your marks are made on the clay, and you're done kind of, it's called scoring the clay, you're going to go ahead and match the marks that are on the coil to the marks that are on the circle, and just wrap it around the circle. So match each of the marks with each other, and then just kind of push it down. And remember, think of this like gluing the 2 pieces together, as you see in the video. You may see that once you attach the coil to the circle, that the coil may be too long. So you just want to break it off once the 2 sides attach. You're going to realize maybe you made it too long. Just break it off the excess coil. So you're going to continue to keep making coils. You're going to make about 5 or 6 coils. Remember, you decide how many coils you want depending on the height of your cup. So if you want it to be a cup, so the other thing 5 or 6 coils. Is if you want it to resemble more of a bowl, coils, then it's 10 to 12 as you stack them. So you create the coil, then you go ahead and make your marks on the coil. And remember, it's not all over the coil, it's on one side of the coil. And then you're going to dip your finger in the water and then give it a light glaze on top of the marks that you've created. And then just simply stack them. But don't forget to basically score each coil in between as you go along. You may find that it's easier to roll out the coils by standing up. Instead of sitting down, you'll have a little more pressure that you're able to push down onto the clay as you're trying to roll it out. So remember with this clay that you do want to wait about 24 hours for it to dry before you decide to paint that first 2 coats of paint on there. Remember, you'll just use acrylic paint for this. And do give it time to dry though. Otherwise, the paint will just simply soak into the clay and it will not dry properly. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was informative and the demo was straightforward for you to be able to complete your project at home. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.